Welcome to Gaming with Magus. I am Magus, and with the recent game we played, which was the Grinch Christmas Adventures, there was a um, book just like you would have the Dr. Seuss book, and it was requested that I should read it, as I sometimes do voices, to give justice to the actual book itself. It might be fun to watch. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. We'll go from there. Welcome. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask why. We do not quite know the reason. It could be his head was not screwed on just right. It could be, perhaps, that his shoes were too tight. But maybe I think the most likely reason of all may have been his heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Who's, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm, lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath.
And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas, it's practically here.
Then he growled with his grinchy fingers, nervously drumming.
I must find a way to stop Christmas from coming.
For tomorrow, he knew, all the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys, and then, oh, the noise! The noise, 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 noise. That's the one thing he hated. The noise! The noise! Noise, noise, noise. And then the Who's, young and old, would sit down to a feast. They'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, 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 feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare roast beef, which something the Grinch could not stand in the least. And then they would do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Who's would start singing. They'd sing, and they'd sing, 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 sing. The more the Grinch thought of the Who Christmas sing, the more the God thinks,
I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I've put up with it now. I must stop Christmas from coming. But how?
But then he got an idea. An awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea.
I know just what to do.
The Grinch laughed in his throat. He made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. He chuckled and clucked.
What a great Grinchy trick. With this coat and this hat, I look just like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer.
The Grinch looked around, but since the reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No, the Grinch said.
If I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead.
So he called his dog Max. Then he took some red thread, and he tied a big horn on top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh that he hitched up to old Max. The Grinch said,
Giddy up!
And the sleigh started down towards the homes where the Who's laid a snooze in the town. All the windows were dark. Quiet snow filled the air. All the Who's were dreaming sweet dreams without care. And when he came to the first house on the square,
This is stop number 1.
The old Grinchy Claus hissed. He climbed to the roof, empty bags in fist. Then he slid down the chimney a rather tight pinch. But if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once, for a moment or two. Then he stuck his head out. The fireplace flew, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row.
These stockings,
He grinned.
are the first things to go.
Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant. Around the whole room he took every present. Pop guns and bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorns, and plums. He stuffed them in bags, then the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimbley. Then he slunk to the icebox, he took the Who's feast, he took the Who pudding, he took the roast beast. He cleaned out the icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took the last can of Who hash. And then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee.
And now,
Grinned the Grinch,
I will stuff up the tree.
and the Grinch grabbed the tree he started to shove, when he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove. He turned around fast and saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou Who is not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter, who got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, "Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?" But you know that old Grinch was so smart and so slick. He thought up a lie, and he thought it up quick.
Why, my sweet little tot,
The fake Santa Claus lied.
there's a light on the tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, and then I'll bring it back here.
His fib fooled the child, then he patted her head. He got her drink, and then sent her to bed. When Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Then the last thing he took was the log for the fire. Then he went up the chimney, himself that old liar. On the walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. The one speck of food he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for other Who's mouses. It was 1/4 dawn, and all the Who's still abed. All the Who's still a snooze when he packed up his sled. He packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags, the tinsels, the trimmings, the trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it.
Pooh-pooh to the Who's,
He was Grinchiously humming.
they'll find out that no Christmas is coming. They'll just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two, and then the Who's down in Whoville will all cry boo-hoo. That's a noise,
Grinned the Grinch.
that I simply must hear.
So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear. He did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, then it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, the sound sounded very merry. It couldn't be so, but it was very merry. Very. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes. He then shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling.
How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, and bags.
He puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before.
Maybe Christmas,
He thought,
doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more.
and what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew through sizes that day. The minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light. He brought back the toys and the food for the feast, and he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. So, if you like what you saw with my rendition of The Grinch That Stole Christmas, via the game of the Grinch Christmas Adventures. Please give me a like, follow, and subscribe. And of course, I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday at 9:30 at twitch.tv/gamewithmagus. I also stream on YouTube, Kick, and Rumble. And you should follow my social medias, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, or X. That way, when things change, you know what's going on or new events. But also, you can make suggestions on games you'd like to see me play. Until next time, stay adventurous.